In this question, we're asked to compare substance Y and substance Z to substance S, and there are some differences. So let's take a look. It says substance Y is just like substance S, except that it has a lower heat capacity in the gas phase. So this is substance S, and here we want to find the correct graph for substance Y. Well, if substance Y has a lower heat capacity in the gas phase, the part of the curve that is affected by the heat capacity in the gas phase is this curved line here, because this is the change in temperature based on the amount of heat that is added. If the heat capacity in the gas phase is lower, this line should be steeper or have a greater slope. Right now, these two lines look identical, but there are other problems with these things. So let's take a look. In this case, what you'll see is these parts of the curves are identical. And then when we get to the one that's influenced by the heat capacity in the gas phase, the slope is steeper. So if a heat capacity is greater, you'll have a more drawn out slope or a lower slope. If the heat capacity is lower, you'll have a less drawn out slope or a steeper slope. So in this case, the heat capacity is lower, so we have a steeper slope for the gas phase. Note that if it were for the liquid or for the solid, the heat capacity would have the same effect. If it is higher, you get a more drawn out slope or a less slope, and if it's lower, you get a steeper slope or a less drawn out slope. Let's look at substance Z. For substance Z, it's the same, except it has a lower enthalpy of vaporization. Well, the part of the curve that's affected by the enthalpy of vaporization is the length of this line. If the enthalpy of vaporization is lower, this line should be shorter, and all else should be identical. If we look at this case, not everything else is identical. If we look at this case, all of the other parts of the curve are identical, but the vaporization curve here is shorter because this is lower. Note that if it had a greater enthalpy of vaporization, this line would be longer, but in this case, the vaporization is lower, so the line is shorter. These are the correct answers for this particular problem.